Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Welcome, one and all, to the 2022 Commonwealth Bank Teaching Awards. As you make your way to your seats, so thank you for being so prompt. I only had to ask once at the microphones for everyone to make their way to their seats. Not surprising in a room of school teachers. I didn't have to do any shushing. I was tempted to do a bit of the clap response, you'll do it back. One of the new teachers told me about the waterfall. You say waterfall and they all go, shh. My favourite, of course, still the classic, I've got all day, year 9. But anyway, none of those were needed at all. Thank you for being so prompt. My name's Adam Spencer. It's a pleasure to be your host for this afternoon's awards presentation. Though to be honest with you, as a professional event MC after the last 18 months or so, it's a pleasure to be out of the house. But what a room to be here in. And I'm sure most of you here today know precisely why we have gathered, and that's because of the Commonwealth Bank Teaching Awards, where we recognise and celebrate the contribution of some incredible educators we're going to get to meet today. 22 deserving recipients, each of whom has delivered meaningful impact to their students, creating long-term change in their schools, their students, their families, and their wider communities in which they ply their trade. Once again, we've got 12 outstanding teachers and school leaders who've been selected for delivering transformative and measurable outcomes in education. But the train spotters among you have been to this before. I think people, 12, you said 22, that's right. Because for the first time, we are delighted to be recognising 10 early career teachers who within their first 5 years in the profession have already demonstrated amazing commitment, potential and passion for education. So yes, absolutely. And as I touched on, what an eventful couple of years we've all had through the unique challenges of the last 24 months, the pandemic, devastating natural disasters in many places in Australia. Teachers across the country have literally been at the front line, adapting quickly and creatively, innovating their teaching methods to ensure their students' education continued. It's a champion effort, in my opinion. I've seen this through my two daughters firsthand. The younger one in year 9, homeschooling, loved it. She just could not have been happier. My older daughter in the HSC this year, a little bit stressed out by the homeschooling thing. At the same time, I'm sure a few of Ellie's teachers were very happy that she was homeschooled for a few months. There's only so many times you can ask, can you check the 7th draft of my essay, please, ma'am? We're going to get to the formalities very soon, and we'll walk the wonderful 2022 recipients through this event. But before we get into the awards proceedings, I'd like to take a moment to bring Anne Weldon to the stage to welcome us to country. Ladies and gentlemen, please, Anne Weldon.
Well, good afternoon, all you deadly people. Yeah? And in Aboriginal terms, I don't know if you know that deadly is the best. So I've joined the best in this room this afternoon. It was interesting, as I was sitting there being looked after by beautiful staff, that I've come across a couple of ladies that come from Noongar country, in WA. And I was telling them about my granddaughter-in-law, she's Noongar and Yamaji, and she's met up with a proud Wiradjuri man, my grandson, and she's a nurse. And it's amazing to see her dedication and commitment and how she's certainly cared for and looked after many, many people, that have suffered with COVID. First at Royal Melbourne and now she's over at RPA. So, we're here for a reason, and it was wonderful for me to actually cross paths with two incredible women that are associated with your bank that come from Noongar country, the other side of Australia. I am a Wiradjuri Kuri Balam, a mother, a grandmother and a great-grandmother. And I'm actually here taking the place of my daughter, the very famous Yvonne Weldon. And I just remind you that I am the mother. The mother. She has released a book, and she's getting, wonderful reviews. And I went to another launch last night, and there was a question session, and it's just amazing when you sit back and you see this woman, she's a grandmother now, but this little girl that come along that was taught by an incredible matriarch in my family, and the influence that she's had on Yvonne is just phenomenal. And what I love the most is how Yvonne took on Auntie Clover Moore to run for the City of Sydney Lord Mayoral's position, and she certainly gave her a run for her money. She's the first Aboriginal woman that's been elected to the City of Sydney Council, and a couple of the political parties were absolutely astounded at Yvonne's campaign, so not bad for an Aboriginal Wiradjuri Balang that comes from off of my reserve, Aboriginal reserve, which is 32 acres in Cowra, for her to be where she is, or what she's achieved, in 2022. And I love it how Yvonne gets people to walk with her and be a part of the journey so that we as Australians all walk together. So I just wanted to share that with you. I was born at a time in Cowra, in a segregated section of Cowra District Hospital. And I grew up on an Aboriginal reserve in Cowra, just out of Cowra, under the control and being managed by a mission manager and the police. But I stand before you and join you today on the land of the mighty Eora Nation and Gadigal people. And I stand proud of my people's richness, of our culture, and certainly our strong resilience. And I acknowledge all other Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal brothers and sisters in the room here this afternoon. And I acknowledge and pay my respects to the owners of the traditional land on where we gather, the land of the Eora people and the Gadigal clan. For the Gadigal clan was one of 29 clan groups of the mighty Eora Nation. And I pay my respects to all elders, past, present, for our many Aboriginal nations and our non-Aboriginal people across this country. For our elders certainly made many, many sacrifices, and indeed there are elders in this room that have joined us that have certainly made those sacrifices for yourselves and future generations. For we certainly, and it can't be denied, we have lived through unfortunate injustices in our country, and sadly we continue to be paralysed by these unfortunate injustices as Aboriginal people. For my people, Aboriginal Australia, we have existed and belong to these lands that stretches far beyond 65,000 years. And we are one of the richest and the oldest continuing cultures on the planet. And our practices of culture and language has been handed down to hundreds and hundreds of generations. And I've certainly passed it on to my children, my grandchildren, and the handsomest little great-grandson in the whole wide world. Yeah? He's neat. He even goes to the golf, driving range. He can putt. He got his hole-in-one at 15 months, this. So look out, and we're telling him, make sure you keep on hitting that little ball because you're going to make us a lot of money. I've got to get back under this. He is magic. I don't know if there's anybody in this room that's a great-grandparent. But if you're a grandparent, you're certainly you're blessed. But when you become a great-grandmother, it just brings a whole new depth and meaning to your world. I certainly have passed on, and I will continue to pass on our culture and our knowledge to my nieces, nephews, my children, and as I said, my great-grandson, but all children. For I learnt my Wiradjuri culture and traditions by the teaching and by listening to my elders. For my elders informed the truth from their lived experiences and the facts are seen through their eyes. For we believe the teachings of our ancestors will always light our way through uncertain times and future. And we look to further our vision through the realisation of endeavours that protect our diverse culture, our land, our language, our ceremonial ways of prayer, and through our journey, educate and nurture all in our country. And as a Wiradjuri Kuribalin, I would like you to walk beside us, be proud and stand with us, and allow my people, Aboriginal Australia, to certainly benefit or share the wealth that our country has to offer, so that we in turn can make our own decisions and create our own pathways to reach our own destinies. For Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council, we promote a vision of working together as one community and to achieve as one community. And the boundaries for Metropolitan Land Council spans from the Hawkesbury River to the north, the Nepean to the west, and the Georges River to the south. So with the permission of Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council, and as an elder, as their elder, as New South Wales Land Council elder, and then a national elder, it is with honour that I welcome you all to the land of the mighty Eora Nation and Gadigal people. And I take this opportunity to also thank the Commonwealth Bank, for inviting, actually, Yvonne, but she couldn't be here because she's at Parliament House now giving a speech to raise funding for a charity that we've got blind children. And as I said, I'm the mother. But I thank the Commonwealth Bank, for allowing me to be here before you all, stand before all of you incredible people at your teaching awards. And I wish you every success. And, it's incredible that you actually do give awards in this particular field, to people that are certainly making a difference and continuing to make our country the best in the world. And Australia is the best country in the world. So once again, welcome to the land of the mighty Eora Nation. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Thank you very, very much.
Step down first and I'll do this. You'll be all right.
This is what happens when you get older.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful welcome. Please, another round of applause for wonderful Anne. Well done. I am about to introduce two special guests to the stage, but before I do, whilst not wishing to play favourites, I am thrilled to acknowledge we have in the room the brand spanking new Federal Education Minister, the Honourable Jason Clare is here. Please give the Minister a round of applause. And Minister, can I just say, I'm sure I speak on behalf of everyone, and especially the teachers in the room, that moment the other day when you went back to Cabramatta Public and caught up with Ms Fry, wow, that, as the young people say, copped me right in the feels. That was just it was just a beautiful, beautiful moment. And to know that today we've got a room full of educators who 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now will similarly have kids who will want to go back and give them a hug like that. Just captured in one simple image what this entire day is about. So welcome, Minister, and thank you so much for joining us today. Jason Clare, ladies and gentlemen. And I'd now like to welcome to the stage Kylie Smith, who's the Commonwealth Bank's Executive General Manager of Corporate Affairs, and Rosemary Conn from Australian Schools Plus, where she's CEO. Please welcome Kylie and Rosemary to the stage. Great to see you both here. Auntie Anne's already talked about why today is so special. Why? Why the Commonwealth Bank's support for these teaching awards, Kylie?
Oh, it is. Thank you, Adam, and thank you for that beautiful welcome, Auntie. It was and good to see you all. Welcome. Isn't that atmosphere amazing? So that's why it's so special. You can feel it in the room, and it was so lovely to be able to spend some time with some of the teachers earlier and school leaders and just be reminded of your stories. So at the very end of the day, that's why it's special, because of the people in the room and the colleagues that you represent as well. But from the bank's perspective, it's been a very long-term commitment to education and engagement with schools and for the students, so to build financial capability in the next generation, and that's why this partnership's been, so important to the bank. We've seen how challenged your sector's been right across the way you've had to deliver through the last 2 years. So, we really respect the adaptability of what you've done. We think it's awe-inspiring. I know that as a parent as well, and twins in Year 12, so I share your pain.
Good luck to you.
I see your pain and double it.
Exactly.
So definitely, as a parent, and so on behalf of the bank and all the families at the bank and our customers, we really want to congratulate the 12 award recipients today and all of the early career teachers as well. You're just amazing.
Rosemary, anyone who knows what Schools Plus does, it's an obvious fit, but why? Why is Schools Plus so closely connected with this program?
Well, as an organisation, we're really passionate about making sure that every child can succeed at school. And it doesn't matter where they come from or what background they come from either. It's about providing opportunities for them to succeed. And as Kylie referenced, the last couple of years has been pretty tough as a teacher. And so the teachers here in the room today are teachers that have done amazing work to be resilient, to show commitment, and ensure that students continue to learn, but not just learn, but also that their well-being is looked after. So we're here to sort of celebrate the 12 teaching fellows today. And also, really excitingly for us as an organisation, is recognising the important role that early career teachers can play as role models to try and attract people into the profession in the first place. And so for the first time this year, we've got 10 new early career teachers who we're also recognising. And we're able to do that because of the support of Commonwealth Bank and our Pioneers in Philanthropy, our major funders too. We're going to hear from those and meet some of those teachers in just a moment, but there's so many different aspects to this. It builds a community, it acknowledges one-off these people who deserve acknowledgement, it establishes connections across the years. I see previous winner and my nemesis Eddie Wu just there, and I'm looking at you, Eddie. For you, what's the main impact of these awards, Rosemary? Well, it was pretty astounding to spend yesterday with about 50 of our alumni fellows and the new cohort. And there are just so many stories of how these fellows have had impact. So we have people who've taken on leadership positions where people like John, who are now influencing the system in the Northern Territory, Wendy from Queensland partnering with Scott, who's from New South Wales, to bring the virtual STEM Academy across the country, and some amazing other examples of leadership. And then also some innovation. I mean, this year's teaching fellows are doing some incredible stuff. So Adrian's teaching his kids to build and fly drones. Stella's got a virtual medical school set up for her kids. And we were chatting earlier to Kylie, who's come all the way from Christmas Island. Pretty amazing, Kylie. And she set up a junior park rangers program there. So the innovation's incredible. And then finally, I mean, they're such an inspiring bunch. And a big shout out to Beck West in particular, who in the last 12 months has made it into the top 10 of the Global Teaching Prize, and inspiring hundreds of thousands of teachers, not just here in Australia, but globally.
When it comes to building Australia's future, what do you see as the role of educators, Kylie?
Yeah, so much of that, what Rosemary was just talking about. So there's all of those foundations that have to be laid, but the innovation that we've seen and what that will then bring out in the workers of the future, so the people who are going to take the country forward, and they're in your hands every day, in terms of building the new skills for the new jobs that, you know, when we look to the jobs that we were considering when we left school, they're pretty unrecognisable by title compared to, you know, what our children are graduating into, and that will be the same again. So new skills, new mindsets, new attitudes needed for a really bright future, and so I think that's the critical piece.
I spoke about the Minister with Ms Fry. With me, it's Ms Russell from Baronia Park Public back in year 2, back in the 1970s. She was the first one who realised, Adam, she said to me one day just before lunch, I bet when we're going to do these 10 maths questions after lunch, I bet if you went to the library and tried to do all 50 in the chapter, you wouldn't be able to do those in the time that the rest of us can do 10. I can still remember running to the library after lunch and then coming back in. It wasn't, oh yeah, I did them all, yeah, no, they were good. I think there's a misprinting question 37, but you know. And that was, I just needed to be fed maths. And she realised that, and it changed my life. Do you have a teacher? Do you have a teacher that springs to mind?
Me too. Mr Shepherd was my maths year 5.
Mr Shepherd.
But maths and science, and I was all maths, science, and then went and studied journalism because at the end I went, I think I want to write, and so I wanted to be fed across all all parts of the curriculum. So I had a fantastic schooling, but a big piece, I was very unwell in the middle of my high school years and had most of year 9 off, so I don't know if that was a gift or not, because that can be a challenging time. And I remember my teachers in that moment. So in terms of their care, you know, I now work for a company where one of the values of the company is care, and it was just in spades. It wasn't that there's this person absent. I felt so present in that school, and it was because of the teachers, not because of the machinery of it. It was the individuals. So huge impact for me personally, and to sort of sustain my well-being through high school.
And a final shout out from you, Rosemary. Either a teacher in your life or someone else who's been acknowledged by the program across the journey. Who pops into your mind?
Oh, I think it might be a bit of a risky strategy, given there are 50 in the room, to call out a particular teacher. But certainly yesterday, I think what I loved about the group was that in a time when I think we're all feeling a bit lacking in energy, maybe a little bit uninspired, the energy in the room was phenomenal. And I thought, wow, I would love to be taught by any one of the people in this room. And I think also the sense of the kind of collaboration, also at a time when everything's quite divided, and also a sense of hope in the room. I think that there's a lot of bad news, but I think I walked away from yesterday feeling a huge sense of hope for the future for our young people.
Please give Kyle and Rosemary a big round of applause. We simply couldn't do this without the Commonwealth Bank and Schools Plus. Thank you, guys. Let's meet some of our teachers. We've heard about our wonderful early career educators. 10 of them have been selected. They're going to be chosen each year to receive a 12-month early career teaching award valued at $10,000 for professional development and an exclusive leadership and mentoring program. Have a look at the video screens to find out more about our early career teacher award winners.
I'm a huge supporter of collaboration. I think it's the key cornerstone of how we evolve as teachers. Be coached, take on feedback, and learn. I would hope people say that those are all skills that I definitely have.
Collaboration really includes the ability to be able to work as a team, to be able to support and encourage others, to be a good communicator, including being a good listener.
I gain just as much, if not more, joy from watching a student teach me something new and learning something new from them as I do from teaching them.
I've always been someone who soaks in information from people around me. I work with an incredible leadership team here. I work with incredible staff here at Monterey, and for me it's about observing others and observing people who are really solid in their practice.
I've sort of flipped the script and tried to turn it into something fun, something exciting, something engaging. We like to call it gamifying our lessons.
I'm also passionate about using modern technology and teaching students 21st century skills. I'm using gadgets like Spiro's virtual reality goggles, augmented reality devices.
My particular areas of expertise are in technology-based learning, as well as inquiry-based learning and gamification and planning.
What I do is I film instructional videos and then I post them to YouTube. I give these out to students and it has a QR code that takes you to my YouTube channel. The feedback that I've received on this has been amazing.
Another way that I have managed to share resources and knowledge has been by creating the annual Mathematics Olympics. So it was aimed at really inspiring them to see the beauty of mathematics and see that it is more than numbers on a page.
Number one, focus my teaching on relationships and ensure that students feel supported at school. For my students who are from different cultures, my students who are Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islanders, and also people who are part of the LGBTQIA+ community, I'm really passionate about ensuring that they are supported.
Everybody knows that I'm going to do my absolute best, but that I am also informed by the evidence and data, and that I will measure the impact of what I do. So if it isn't effective, I will go back, I will rethink, and I'll continue to develop those ideas. I don't get stuck in my thinking.
I want to inspire my students to be a lifelong learner because I believe that I am a lifelong learner. Every year I set the goal on making a difference. Thank you for listening.
I just want to say a big thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
If our early career teachers could stand, let's give them a round of applause from Christmas Island to Cootamundra, from South Grafton to Browns Plains, our early career teachers. Congratulations to the 10 of you. And Holly, I'm so excited I might finally get to go to the Olympics. Now to say a few words, please welcome the Honourable, the Minister for Education, Jason Clare.
G'day everyone. Thanks Adam and your nemesis Eddie. Can I thank Auntie Anne for her wonderful welcome to country earlier on. It's got me thinking about my 10-month-old and how I need to teach him to putt as well. Can I recognise the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today and elders past, present and emerging and commit the government that I'm so privileged to be a part of to the Uluru Statement from the Heart in full. Can I thank the Commonwealth Bank? Can I thank Schools Plus? Can I thank the extraordinary people that we're honouring here today? Adam talked about the visit that I made back to Cabramatta Public School a couple of weeks ago when I got this extraordinary opportunity and gave Mrs. Fry a hug. And I promise I won't be handing out hugs today. It just seemed like the right place to start. And Kathy, I still call her Mrs. Fry, but Kathy started at Cabramatta Public School in 1978. And she's been there ever since. Still there. Still teaching children from Cabramatta, still changing lives. And Cabramatta is not a flash wealthy place. People who live in Cabramatta work hard, scrape by, they care about their kids, they know how important their school is, they know the power of education. The kids that I shared a classroom with when I was there with Mrs. Fry back in 1978. A lot of those kids, when they came to school, didn't speak English. They came from everywhere, from South America to Southeast Asia. And I know these stories sound like cliche because you hear them all the time, but this story is true. This is my experience. These are the kids that I went to school with. And I'm still friends with a lot of them today. We lost one of them 5 years ago this Sunday, and we'll get together to remember him. But I've got to tell you, a lot of the kids that were in that classroom at Cabramatta Public School are now partners in law firms, pharmacists, multi-millionaire startup business owners. That was my ex-girlfriend at school. I must have got that one right. How does that happen? Well, you know the answer. It's because of people like Kathy and because of people like you. And the same story is still repeating itself at Cabramatta Public School today and countless other places right across the country. Cast your mind back to when you were at school. And we did that on the stage just a moment ago. And I ask you to ask yourself the same question. Think about the classrooms that you sat in and the teacher that, at least in those days, was at the front. Think about them. You can remember their names, can't you? Can't remember much else, I suspect, about when you're 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. You can remember them. And there's one that stands out, I'm sure. One name. Somebody that shaped you, that inspired you, that influenced you, that helped make you the person that you are today. You've now become that person. You've now become that person, I'm sure of it. Paul Keating used to say that A good education is like the keys to the kingdom. The keys to the kingdom. It's like a master key that opens every door, that opens every opportunity in life. Well, if he's right, and you know he is, then you are the key makers. You are the ones who make the keys that open those doors. You are opening doors that otherwise would forever have stayed locked. And while not everybody that walks through these doors will realise it, or thank you for it, or know that you are the one that opened that door for them, they will. They'll get it one day, like I did. And when they do, they'll say to you what I said to Mrs. Fry. Thank you for what you taught me. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Minister, and we are very excited to watch you begin the next educational adventure in your life. Best of luck in the portfolio. It's a beautiful portfolio. We're not naive. It's a challenging one. It's a complicated one. It's such an important one. And I do a lot of work for the ABC, so I make no political comments either side. But I think as an individual, the sort of values that you're espousing, I think we're really excited to see where you take this over the next few years. Please give the Minister another round of applause. The Honourable Jason Clare. We're now going to break for our lunch. Most of you are lucky enough to have one of our award winners on your table. Well, don't let up on them. Just get in there and find out about these amazing, passionate Australians during the next 15, 20 minutes or so before we welcome them all to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, I trust you're enjoying your meals. Please continue to dine, but we are going to push on with our formalities here. I'm going to invite Rosemary Conn back to the stage, and she's joined by pioneer Rosie Williams to present our first set of awards. And some of you might be thinking, pioneer, Rosemary touched on this earlier. The Commonwealth Bank Teaching Awards were established with the support of the Schools Plus Pioneers in Philanthropy. This group of some of Australia's most distinguished and visionary philanthropists and business leaders has come together to challenge the status quo of education. So to David Gonski and all of our pioneers, thank you so very, very much. Please welcome Rosemary and Rosie to the stage. And we have 6 wonderful educators to introduce to you now. First of all, the Deputy Principal, Murrumbidgee Regional High School, located in Wiradjuri country. This is Ian Preston. I'll get them. There's one for him. Give him that. There you go. Smile for the photo there, Ian. With our 2 guests, I call up next the Head of Teaching and Learning, Staff Development and Performance at Marsden State High School, located on Yugara country, Jenna Cullen. Next to join us, a STEM teacher from Burnside High School, located on Gubbi Gubbi country, Adrian Caston. Don't be shy, Adrian. There's the camera, my friend. Next up, a STEM teacher from Montello Primary School, located in Tomagini country, Daniel Edwards. The Director of Teacher and Learning for Mastery Schools Australia, which is an independent school located on Bundjalung country, Tony Hatton-Roberts. And finally, the Deputy Principal of Wilmot Road Primary School, located on Udrillarham country, Brendan Kenner. Now, these teachers have done amazing things. It's impossible to capture it in just a brief chat, but I'm going to ask them each one question to sort of highlight the amazing work they are doing. Please check the documents and the website for more information on these amazing people. I'll start with you, Ian. You're championing STEM education not only in your own school in Griffith, in regional New South Wales, but across all of New South Wales, in fact, around Australia. How do you go about getting the message out to so many students, and what sort of impact's it having, mate?
Well, Adam, we run a number of programs, and I know I've only got 2 minutes, so I'm going to concentrate today on the New South Wales Virtual STEM Academy. And as was mentioned earlier, Queensland has a Virtual STEM Academy, and 2 of our alumni in Scott Sleep and Wendy Bode, who are here today, I've worked heavily with them. And we've been setting up the New South Wales Virtual STEM Academy out of Murrumbidgee Regional High School in Griffith. We did a lot of work on understanding hardware and software and pedagogical approaches that we needed to take to make that a successful program. We started last year in a very small pilot group. We had 8 kids from 4 schools in the Griffith region, which is rural, regional and remote. And this year we've expanded significantly. I think this year our projected numbers are 300 students, and of those, I think currently we've got 24% of those are Indigenous students, and 46% of those are female students. And the success of that, and with the help of Schools Plus, we're now also implementing the Australian Virtual STEM Academy. As far as the impact to kids, the kids really, they love it. We have kids come up in the playground and ask to be part of the program. We had one little girl from a remote school in tears because of COVID. She couldn't do a lesson, so her parents come and got a computer and allowed her to do that. The impact on the kids is immense, and really, I probably can't express how significant it is to these kids in these rural and remote areas. So with the support of Schools Plus and Commonwealth Bank, you are making a big difference.
Great work, Ian. Great stuff, mate. Jenna, you're in charge of staff development, not just at any school, but at the mighty Marsden State High School, the largest high school in Australia. Get this, over 2,800 students, 260 teachers, more than a third of them in their first 3 years of teaching. How do you support the development of such a large, just the sheer bulk of that teaching group?
We actually have 3,700, I was told this morning.
You've just added a lazy 900 since I last checked. How do you deal with that, just the sheer scale of the operation?
Look, we've been working in this space for a long time, and for us it actually starts when our students are still at school. So we actually have a program called the Marsden Guarantee, where if students go on to choose teaching, they are supported with a university mentor, they're guaranteed a placement at our school, and during that time they're given significant professional development. We want to keep closing that gap between what happens at uni, what happens in practice, and making that transition really supported, that they feel like they're part of a community. So our pre-service teacher program, we have had about 900 people in the last 3 years come through our gates. It's fantastic. We've actually got one of our early career teachers here today did their prac at Marsden, which is wonderful. So we have extensive professional development. We work with the universities, we work with practitioners at school, and we have our early career teacher and beginning teachers programs as well. So again, that's that community of practice, that collective efficacy. Together we can solve our problems. We can do it, and we believe that. And we're given the support to do it as well. And we find that those teachers build such a tight, close-knit community, much like the one that I think we're starting to build today, which I'm absolutely proud to be a part of. And that's really the key, I think, is that community together, working together.
Congratulations, Jenna. Wonderful stuff. Adrian, you're a mechanical engineer turned teacher, and I hear the opportunities you're giving your students at Burnside High are amazing. They're off to a flying start, learning some pretty unique STEM courses. Tell us about what you're doing with your students.
So I'm lucky enough to be a teacher at a Sunshine Coast school in Queensland that are supporting me to use my previous skills to come up with projects that will engage students and engage the community. So the first one was building drones. So everyone knows about a drone, but how do you build those drones? How do you work with those drones to get them in the sky? So we use all the STEM technology we can find to get the students engaged in all that modern technology, from laser cutting, 3D printing, to all the software they need. The kids just love working with that sort of technology. It got to a point where it got so big in the aviation industry that we had people from outside say, how can we get involved with that? So the aviation community got involved with us as a school to a point where we're now building aircraft. So at the moment, we've just received one of our, probably the third aircraft we're working on at the moment, but this is like a flat pack. We're going to build it. Yeah, it's good. The kids should be able to put it together, I'm hoping, but we should be able to build it in 6 months. So in 6 months' time, they'll be in the sky after a bit of testing, with their instructor pilot and having a go at a plane they've just built at a school. This is something that the aviation industry has got behind us because of Schools Plus and the influence Schools Plus has had on my career. And they love the fact that we're doing something different, to the point where we're getting so many of the aviation industry experts into the school, it's nearly one-on-one in my classrooms. So, as you can imagine, one aviation expert to one teacher, one student, I don't have to do anything anymore. So it's great. So I'm just so lucky to be here and be amongst all these amazing people and such a diverse group of people that, what else can I say? Thank you very much.
Great stuff, Adrian. Congratulations, mate. Probably should have warned us in advance. We probably should have got someone to put the fingers in the minister's ear where you explained a bit where the high school kids would be building a plane, but apart from that, I loved it. Daniel, your school in northwestern Tasmania, you know, a low socioeconomic area, there's high unemployment in the area, but you've generated a real shift both in student engagement and also a sense of community. Tell us a bit what you've achieved at Montello.
Okay, wow. Look, there's so much I can say about that, but trying to keep it to 2 minutes. Brendan here's got to help me stay on that. He's been working with me the last couple of days. But look, I think the real key focus here is our STEM program has been implemented alongside our work on trauma-informed practice and recognising how essential positive relationships and unconditional positive regard of students is. Our focus is on very much on student agency and empowering students to become drivers of their own learning in STEM. So what I prioritise, and I guess the best part about my job is being able to work alongside students as they work collaboratively to not just learn cool new skills and have fun, but to I guess look at authentic problems and develop solutions to those. So we've had opportunities to enter those in a number of competitions and expos and events on a local, national and global scale, and then for students to have you know, a really remarkable level of success at each of these has been amazing, and just to see how that just sparks like a continued inspiration in these students, that belief that, you know, no matter where they come from, that they're able to achieve anything that they aspire to. So I guess just in addition to that, they've got opportunities to be involved in extra programs like Code Club and before school and lunchtime and after school activities to represent the school on robotics teams in First Lego League as well. So just doing everything we can to give our students the best possible opportunities and celebrating that at every opportunity. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Wonderful stuff, Daniel. Congratulations, mate. Tony, when we talk about diversity, there's obviously diversity in any school group, there's diversity in any teaching group, but there's also diversity in the types of schools, and not every kid fits perfectly into what we might consider a mainstream school. You co-founded a new independent special assistance school. What are you doing differently, and why does it really work for some students?
Yeah, so thanks, Adam. What do we do differently? Well, we're a school that's evidence-based, and I know many schools are evidence-based, but we don't just look at the research from education. We look at the research from cognitive psychology, and so that's often termed the science of learning, and in particular the science of reading. So at Mastery Schools, our students attend our school because they're disengaged from mainstream school. They've already been identified as disengagement. So many of them have learning disabilities. Often they'll have learning difficulties that have impeded their learning. So they've got dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, ADHD, all these things that stop them from learning. But we've got a whole bunch of kids who are just falling through the cracks, who are massively behind. Imagine you're in Year 9 and you read at Year 1 level. So what's it like for you in a classroom, in a mainstream classroom? So at Mastery Schools, we look at the research from working memory. We look at what we know about attentional control. We look at what we know about cognitive load theory. And our teachers are trained in delivering a curriculum to support our teachers to have impact on their learning. Now, at MSA, we have a mantra, and we say, success is the fun we offer. Okay, success is the fun we offer. Now, as you can imagine, our kids are behind, so we have to do 2 hours of maths every day, regardless of what year you're in. We do 2 hours of English every day, regardless of what year you're in. We then, to have to fit in the rest of the Australian curriculum, our day's longer. Now, that's not sounding like so much fun, particularly for a whole bunch of kids who are disengaged. So what do? The impact is if we use the science to teach them and we have high expectations on them and we ensure that they get lots of early success, that success becomes their motivation. And very quickly we see a change in self-esteem and we see a change in self-efficacy. So science of learning is the basis of our school, and our school, if we think about that impact, across our school, we've looked at typically our students get 2 years reading growth in 1 year. When we look at our data from last year, most of our students got 1.5 years math growth in 1 year. So our students are having improvement. So I guess, what we're trying to do is re-engage these students to mainstream school, definitely. We want them to go back, but we want to have a learning pathway that they can reach their full potential.
Wonderful stuff. Well said, Tony. A lot of us look back fondly on our education back in the 70s and the 80s, but one thing I do remember is that for kids in my peer group who were struggling with certain things, a lot of the support just wasn't there. You did just think certain kids were just a bit dumb or just a bit like that. I've visited schools these days and sometimes seen special lunchtime breaks for kids who might be better in smaller groups. So you're doing some real interesting work in this space at Wilmot Road. Tell us what you're doing there, and particularly the sensory profile, sensory diet aspect of kids' education.
Thank you. Those that were in our master class yesterday, I'm just going to do a quick Venus reset. It's a stress release. So I might do a couple of them.
So we might see the minister doing a few of those in Parliament. We might pick up those little. That's nice.
So I work at a brilliant school with really committed teachers and a tremendous young aspiring cohort of students. Yes, there's disadvantage, but my God, there's potential. And I'm really privileged to stand in front of you guys as one of the leaders of that school. So one of the things I do is I chair a paediatric clinic. And we've got some significant levels of disadvantage in our community. And as one of my roles as the chair of the paediatric clinics is I saw a need to make a change to address the trauma that these kids had experienced. And I had a moral imperative to do something about it. We've got some tremendous educators that are putting a lot of time into curriculum. And the only way we can engage the learning brain is when we can address the trauma. So that started my research into zones of regulation, and it started my conversations with some great OTs, occupational therapists, in our community. And we created a program where students that are experiencing over-arousal or under-arousal, and obviously when you're over-aroused or under-aroused, you're not in the optimum learning zone. So what we've designed is students are taken out of the classroom for 10-minute periods of time, and they implement a sensory diet. So there's a sensory diet, so we get the teachers to complete a sensory profile on the students, and that shows us where their overload may be. And then what we do is they complete a variety of activities that take them in either being under arousal or over arousal back into that optimum learning zone. And we term coin the term our zone of proximal development. So these activities that the students do allow them to get back into the learning zone. Then they can get back into the classroom, and the awesome work that our teachers do, enables the teacher to teach the child, engage that learning brain, and the journey continues. So that's our program in a nutshell, and there was no program that existed. So I thought I probably need to do something. So that's the journey. And now we've got students that can tell you, they walk into the sensory room, they can tell you what zone they're in. And it was touched on in one of the master classes yesterday. So a child may say that I'm in the blue zone, I'm a bit down. So they complete a variety of activities that are targeted to get them out of their current zone, into the learning zone, and then straight back into the classroom. So the outcome of that is our NAPLAN data's improved, we've got greater levels of engagement, and we've got some kids, some significantly disadvantaged backgrounds that are smashing the curriculum. So, yeah, very humbled and privileged to be part of a team.
Wonderful stuff, Brendan. Congratulations. And to all 6 of these educators, thank you so much, guys. One quick group photo. And as our educators make their way back to their seats, thank you so much. Congratulations, guys. I'm going to welcome to the stage Sharon Angel, Teaching Award winner alumni from 2017. She's the principal of Mastery School Springwood in Queensland, to say a few words. Sharon.
Thank you, Adam, and good afternoon, special guests, teaching fellows, and to all of the Queenslanders out there. G'day. I am so honoured to represent all of the teaching fellows who've been selected since 2017. And with the addition of the new 2022 fellows, we have 72 remarkable educators around Australia who are part of this inspirational group, and as well as 10 amazing early career teachers. The fact that so many of us work in communities of disadvantage mean that we have a strong moral purpose and equity for inclusion in education. At this 5-year anniversary of the Teaching Awards, it's remarkable to see the ongoing work of teaching fellows and the increasing impact that we're having across Australia in education. There's some of us who are having more of an impact on a system level, such as Stacey Quince, who's here today representing the New South Wales Minister for Education, the Honourable Sarah Mitchell. And there's those who are continuing to make an impact in the lives of children in schools, such as my 2017 OG fellow, Charlie Klein, who works at the incredibly remote Kenmore Park Anunning School on a working cattle station, which is 1,200 kilometres north of Adelaide. I'd like to give my heartfelt thanks to the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, to Schools Plus, and to the Pioneers. Thank you for your vision in supporting all of us to continue to share our work and scale our work to make an increasing difference in the lives of young Australians. But also, thank you for the recognition of the importance of teachers in Australia. COVID has put an immeasurable pressure on all organisations, and regardless of that, you've still managed to scale this up and introduce the new category for the early career teachers. So that is such a strong need to encourage great young educators to the profession and to remain in the profession. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'd like to give special thanks to Rosemary, to Julie, to Bron from Schools Plus, to James from the Commonwealth Bank. You've taken care of us, you've celebrated us, and at times you've made us feel like rock stars. To the new teaching fellows and the beginning teachers recognised today, what a privilege it is to stand amongst you. Your work is inspiring, and I can't wait to see where this journey takes you. Strap yourself in, because it is going to be spectacularly divine. My own personal journey has taken me around the world, travelling and learning from education systems in Singapore, Dubai, and to New York, and particularly to Harlem Children's Zone, where I was so inspired from what they're doing over there. I had the opportunity to meet my educational hero, Jeffrey Canada. And as my 2017 colleagues would know, I handled meeting him with grace and composure. That is anything but true. But most importantly, I've been able to take the knowledge, skills, partnerships, ideas and expertise to open my own campus of Mastery Schools Australia, which Tony talked about just before. I've never been more inspired, and we're proudly changing students' lives who were previously disengaged. I want to thank everybody in the room today, because if you're here, I know that you are deeply committed to championing education, quality education in Australia. And recently, Nicole Mockler from University of Sydney conducted the first study ever which analysed 65,000 news articles on education. And one of the key findings is what we all knew, but now we can point to research that confirms it, which is that the vast amount of those articles were about negative aspects of education, or at times teacher bashing. So why is this an issue? It's an issue because then we're not talking about the solution. We're not talking about the strategies that work, and we're driving teachers away from the profession. So today I'm putting out a call to action, and it's so great to have the Minister for Education here, because you're going to be a part of this. I would like, and you started it a few weeks ago, so I'd like to call everyone in the room to commit to flooding the media with positive stories of schools and student success. Using the hashtag Teachers Change Lives, we can acknowledge the great work of the teachers in our own schools and for those who are teaching our own children. With this coalition of the willing sitting in front of us today, we can flood the media with positive stories. I encourage you to reach out to your celebrity friends, your politician friends, to share a story about a teacher who has changed their lives. Let's name them. Let's say the actions that they actually took. And this room could single-handedly change the narrative around education in Australia. So teaching fellows, past and present, the Commonwealth Bank, Schools Plus, the pioneers, thank you for your vision. And I look forward to seeing the work that we can do together in the future, and I'm so humbled to stand amongst you. So hashtag Teachers Change Lives.
Hey, hashtag Teachers Change Lives. Thank you, Sharon, and well done to the judges from 2017. You clearly picked a winner there. It's now my pleasure to invite Minister Clare and pioneer Roger Massey-Green AO to the stage to present our second set of awards. Please, a round of applause for the Minister and Roger Massey-Green. First up, the principal of Kingston State School, located on Guggenjan and Yangaba speaking country, Trent Cowley. Roger, if you come over and take the awards and hand them to the Minister. Next, the Assistant Principal and Instructional Coach, John Purchase Public School, Ku-ring-gai Country, Stephanie Salazar. The Principal of Maybell Park State High School, located on Yuggera Country, Michael Hornby. The Principal of Monterey Secondary College, located on Boonwurrung Country, is Peter Langham. The Senior Teacher for Inclusion at Tennant Creek High School, located on Warramungu Country, is Francina Norval. And the Principal of Marble Bar Primary School, located on Nyamul Country, Shane Wilson. Minister and Roger, thank you so much. Let's hear from these wonderful teachers. Trent, you're the principal at Kingston State School in Queensland, where many in your community face considerable disadvantage, trauma, homelessness, unemployment. You've driven a remarkable transformation. You've developed an innovative program. One of them is called Knowledgeable Others. Tell us about Knowledgeable Others, mate.
Thanks, Adam. In all of our schools, we have exceptional teachers that have a brilliant skill set, whether they be experts in behaviour management, literacy, numeracy, teaching maths, teaching the early years. So why don't we draw on the experts we have in our own schools? So that's what we've created at Kingston State School, a group of knowledgeable others where we can utilise the skills of one another and we can share in that expertise. So we can help our new and beginning teachers, we can share that expertise, we can learn from one another, and we can walk in each other's classrooms. We can open up our classrooms on a daily basis and we can learn. We've got Year 6 teachers going into prep classrooms and Year 1 classrooms and learning what it truly means to teach young people how to read. So I think that's an exceptional way that we've changed a bit of the narrative and we're learning from one another. So yeah, very proud of the work that we're doing at Kingston State School. Thank you.
Congratulations, Trent. Tell you what, Trent, that voice, gee whiz, mate, I'll tell you what. Education's win was Smooth FM on Saturday night's loss, may I say. Stephanie, it wasn't enough for you just to transform teaching at John Purchase. You've created the new teacher tribe, which extends well beyond your school. Tell us about the tribe.
Thanks for the question, Adam. We had 8 new teachers coming to our school on average every year, and I knew in my heart that they needed specific support. So fortunately, my principal, Leonie Black, the reason I am on this stage today, hello, she saw something special in me. She saw the special connection that I had with new teachers. I naturally gravitated towards them. And so she supported me in developing a quality induction program, making sure that our new teachers, whether they were temporary, casual teachers, that they felt welcome even before they stepped through our front gates. From there, I was inspired to develop the New Teacher Tribe initiative, which is all about creating that psychologically safe space, that dedicated space for our new teachers to feel supported, encouraged and empowered. A space for them to share their unique challenges, a space for them to collaboratively develop solutions, a space for them to learn from the expertise that we have from John Purchase, from the teachers across our school. Then I just got excited and I was like, let's share this beyond the school. I led 30 events in Melbourne, in Sydney, Teach Meets conferences, workshops, online events during lockdown to support our new teachers. And then, that was 900 teachers, new teachers we connected with experienced teachers across the country. From there, I became my school's first internationally certified instructional coach. So I started working with our new teachers initially, but then our experienced teachers wanted in as well, which is cool. And I started helping teachers reflect on the impact that they wanted to have on students' learning. So that looked like setting goals with them. That looked like co-teaching, modelling practice, getting really nerdy about teaching strategies that we wanted to experiment with until they felt confident to implement these strategies independently. So we've had 30 teachers since 2018 join our program, including our school counsellor, which is cool. And we've had 50 student-focused goals achieved in the areas of reading and numeracy as well. So from there, I'm now coaching the executive team in how to use this coaching approach with their teams and coaching assistant principals and teachers across New South Wales, supporting their well-being at such a challenging time and helping them to achieve their personal goals. So thank you.
That's the New Teacher Tribe. Congratulations, Stephanie. Michael, we're hearing a lot about innovation. We're hearing a lot about firsts. Yours was the first school in Queensland to introduce a GP on site and a psychologist and housing services for some of your students who need access to those sort of things. Tell us a little bit about the program and what effect has it had?
Thank you, Adam. So I'm very fortunate that I work at a beautiful school in Logan, and it all came down for this start with a young man named Warwick, a First Nations young boy who couldn't access the education. He couldn't, and we knew that he needed that health support. So I struggled with that and looked around and found that there were other jurisdictions in the world that were having health support within their schools, which looked like psychologists and GPs. So After going to my community and talking to students and parents, we thought that it was a good idea to, instead of worrying about taking our students to the GP or the psychologist, that we'd bring it into our school. So after advocating a lot in my system, and sometimes you have to be really creative, I had some really strong local members that really helped me in that space. We created the first GP clinic, which was bulk billed, allowed our students to walk in the door and get that access with education, with health support. That then led to a multidisciplinary team, psychologists, youth workers, and that allowed our students to access education in the classroom, because if they had outstanding health issues, they couldn't actually access the education. And that then led to now rolling out 50 across the state. So I feel very fortunate, and thank you very much for having me here.
What a wonderful legacy. Congratulations, mate. Peter, the numbers alone are remarkable at Monterey Secondary College. Completion of senior certificates has gone from 65 to 100%. Your school now exceeds the state average on all measures of student engagement. Staff collaboration's been a big part of that mission. Tell us about it.
Thank you for the question, Adam. When I began at the school in August of 2019, shortly after that we hit our first catastrophe, which was a significant staff exodus that was either going to ruin the school or, as I saw it, an opportunity for change. So we worked really hard on recruiting some really key people, some people who have had success at other schools, and the people who are destined to drive success. And you'll note Jess Cridlin, an early years teacher who's been acknowledged today. Well done, Jess. We recruited those people in and found those staff within the school who wanted to make change. And then we set conditions so that we could collaborate together. It extends beyond just Monterey Secondary College, so we're part of the Frankston North Education Plan, which involves Alder Court Primary School and Mahogany Rise Primary School. All three of the schools have had significant transformational journeys, which is centred around professional learning communities. We run those professional learning communities within our schools, but we also run them across the three schools. So 6 times per year we come together with a focus on early learning, early learning, childhood Prep 1-2 have a PLC together, the middle years in the primary schools have a PLC together, and then the upper years in the primary school and the early years in the secondary school have a professional learning community together. So our staff collaborate not only as a group internally, but also across the board. Another really significant point for us was studying the trauma-informed practice. So I just want to acknowledge the work that the Berry Street Education Model have done, and other fellowship winners have made reference to trauma-informed practice. It's critically important for our school. And I think to set the culture, high expectations, and enable the change that we're seeing with our students, it's been really important for our staff to work in different ways and understand the reasons that we need to do that. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity.
Well said, mate. Francina, what a personal journey you've been on. You've worked on special education across 3 continents. You're now in the beautiful remote community of Tennant Creek, where many students have additional learning needs. How's the flexible learning space and the trauma-informed practice that you've introduced help engage students in Tennant Creek?
Adam, I don't think we ever started this work 5 years ago thinking just that we want to engage students with learning. I realized, and I spoke to school leadership at that time, who I supported as an inclusion advisor. I spoke to them and we realized that we will first have to engage families. And we set out to create a space that now, 4.5 years later, have not only engaged our students, some of the most vulnerable in our country, students with extremely complex needs, receiving high extensive adjustments across all areas of their education. But we've also created a safe space where families were invited into to become partners with us and to realize that together we can create a circle of safety around each one of these students. We have invited external stakeholders, service providers in, and we have seen phenomenal impact in the lives of this very targeted group of students. But it is now having a ripple effect. because some of our students who had to be removed from country and placed in care in Alice Springs because we had a special school there, have now been able to return to country and return to family. And now they can receive education on land in Tennant Creek. So we are looking forward to see how this flexible learning space will impact the next cohort of students that are transitioning from the primary school next year.
Wonderful stuff, Francina. Congratulations. And Shane, the mighty Marble Bar. We love Marble Bar, but you're taking Marble Bar to the world through STEM education, the Virtual World Gallery. How are you helping your students in the Nimal local culture thrive, not just in Marble Bar, but globally?
And thank you so much, Adam, for that question. And I'd just like to say how thrilled and proud I am to join this amazing group of exemplary and innovative group of educators from around Australia as a teaching fellow for 2022. Such an honour, and thank you to the Commonwealth Bank and Schools Plus for this opportunity. The connections have already commenced, and this is what we want with the Marble Bar Virtual Worlds. I would like, as principal of Marble Bar Primary School, I would like to acknowledge being part of an exemplary professional learning community of cultural, technical, educational and economic partners in two-way leadership, teaching and learning that I am simply part of. As principals, we rely on an exemplary team of people. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of Marble Bar and the East Pilbara who have given us the permission and their blessing to share their culture, languages and history with the world. We have 3 virtual worlds. The first one is a gallery, as mentioned, and last year we showcased our Marble Bar gallery to over 600 students from across Perth at the Western Australian Resources Technology Showcase. And for me as a principal, it was a really moving moment to see the impact of East Pilbara culture on students from so many intercultural groups, from so many different socio-economic areas. And we had students from Marble Bar, DJ, if you're watching, showcasing their work to virtual reality developers in New York. And a virtual reality developer from New York offered our student DJ money to showcase her cultural designs on an American virtual platform. There is also an insatiable thirst from Tokyo and across Japan to learn about East Pilbara culture. Our second virtual world is an Indigenous Languages Learning Centre, and that is preserving and showcasing the Ngunnawal language of the East Pilbara. And being virtual, it can go anywhere. There are schools in California that want to see our work. They say, give us more. We want to be part of this. And this is why we developed a virtual teacher development centre. This is a place for connecting educators from around the world to learn about East Pilbara culture. And one of my intentions as a fellow is to nurture collaborations with my external agencies, Atlas Iron, Airborne IT, for example, connecting with First Nation schools in perhaps Alberta, Canada, and inviting them to be part of our Virtual Teacher Development Centre. So even though Marble Bar is a small school, our impact is great, and I'm so proud of our school community. And thank you to the fellows and this wonderful organisation for allowing us to share our story.
You should be proud. Congratulations, Shane. Great stuff. I'm going to get these 6 teachers to remain on stage. We're going to get our other 6 teaching fellows and our 10 early career teachers and Rosemary, Kylie and the Minister to join us on stage. So give us about an hour and a half just to line that up quickly. If you'd like to come forward, we'll grab the microphone. So we're going to take one big group photo. Give them all a round of applause as they make their way to the stage. The wonderful Nick will try and corral this group photo. Go. All needed clean line of sight to Nick's lens at the top of the ladder there. Good. Superb stuff, guys. Make your ways back to your seats. Careful on the stairs there. As you make your way back to your seats, and I have the thrill of wrapping up today, can I just say to all our award winners, on behalf of all of us here, I've had some great conversations with some of our winners today, and I was chatting briefly with Stella from the Pond School, which is not related to the Ponds Institute, totally different, and Stella's a chemistry teacher who set up a virtual medical training school for the students at her school. And she said it's been an amazing couple of days, but, you know, be honest, it's a little bit overwhelming, and she suffered a little bit of imposter syndrome. Do I really deserve to be here? Yes, you do, Stella, as do all 22 of you. I know the people who run this. They don't just give these things away because it's that time of the year. The selection procedure is absolutely rigorous. The nominations from all around Australia are of the highest standard. You all deserve to be here, and just don't be... today's not the day to be modest about it. Revel in it, because as one of you said, next Monday, one of you's got a 5-period day. You're back at the coalface next Monday, and I mean, I love the fact that Eddie's still true. Someone like myself, I get to go into schools and go, how awesome's maths? Wow, hello colour, buy my books, and I run out the door, and then you guys go back. That day, the next day, the day after, the weeks after, the terms after, in Miss Fry's case, the 40-odd years after. So take the time this afternoon in particular to just sit back and go, you know what, I am actually pretty good. Because you are, and you deserve it. So please, one final round of applause for all of our winners. Thank you so much for being part of a special day. We'll see you all next year. Travel safely, stay safe. Bye-bye.